Hello, my friends. So, today I do want to talk to you about something very interesting, something that I was kind of looking into and found a lot of information. It is, there's a lot of talk about it, so a lot of people are into it and they're wanting to know the truth. They just want to know if it's possible to live like this and if it's better for the environment. So, basically, I will want to talk to you about today. I noticed recently there was it's called uh, carbon tax, carbon tax, and for instance, Canada just recently have submitted for a possibility for Canadians to have this tax, which is it makes people get a fine when there's too much carbon dioxide coming out of their houses, I guess, or their businesses, or whichever it shows. I'm not sure how they measure it, but I'm sure there's a way. And they're stating they already have a provincial carbon tax, but now they want to do another one, a second one on top of that, and that will I believe it says it will cost everyone like almost $500 per year. So I wanted to kind of look into that and see what is it? What's a carbon tax? What does it mean? And does it affect anyone here in America, in other states, and kind of see um, if if anything interesting comes out of it. So basically, I found some interesting information. Um, I'll show you. It's a Center for Climate and Energy Solution, and they're talking about carbon pricing. They're talking about carbon tax, and there's like a basic website that they show people what it all entails. Basically, they will be charging people, businesses, consumers, for them to take steps to make sure they do not they pay for each ton of greenhouse gas emissions. And this was very interesting to me since I was under the impression that greenhouse emissions were only big, um, big, oh, I'm not even sure the word, but not small businesses, not people personally themselves, but I guess it entails everyone really. And let's see here. And to me, it was very interesting to note that in our future, there's a possibility everyone will have to pay a tax fee for carbon use or emission. I guess I should say. And they were just showing different things what people can do and different companies can do and how the taxes will be in use. Um, for instance, it says that this has been implemented as of 2021, but some countries have implemented the tax back on 2019, so the year when they actually looked into it. Um, to limit the carbon use, that's why they're doing the carbon taxes, and possibly you're not even seeing that yet, but it's in our future. It shows that, for instance, there's a test you can take to show. It's called Climate Hero, um, and this one is like a test you can take, which would show you if you are um, a carbon, if you're doing a lot of climate damage, if your carbon footprint is very high. This is really bad for the climate. This is very bad for the earth. So basically, they want to implement this for everyone to. Um, there's things that they can limit in doing, and that's how they will make sure your carbon footprint is low. And so I took the test because I was interested to see what kind of questions they ask and what kind of what they're looking for. Like, how will it affect us? How will the carbon tax limit us, or what are they trying to show us? So basically, I did a test, and it kind of showed me that I'm a carbon villain, which means there's things that I have to avoid to be on the to have a lighter, I guess, carbon emission, or how, I'm not sure. So there's things I can do, and like what they do recommend, it's a test that you can take, anyone can take it, you don't even have to say that your real name, but it's called Climate Hero .me, and I'll try to link it for you so you'll be able to see it. But basically, the test involves it asks you what kind of house you live in, what kind of car you drive, um, and then it asks you about your, make sure you have environmentally friendly electricity, and so basically, since I'm the carbon villain, it showed me what things I can do to lower my consumption or to eliminate my carbon. And for me, it was using a friendly electricity, replacing long distance flight, um, changing my flights to a car, train, or bus, and then instead of flying, try to drive. Then it was telling me that it's better not to drive, but it's better to car share a pool. By having your own car, you're wasting carbon. So by sharing, it's better for the environment. So, and then it was telling me even better if you walk or bike instead of driving a car. Then it was telling me eat less beef and lamb, because eating beef or lamb is very, very carbon bad for the climate. So if you're gonna eat meat every day or every week, it's bad for you. And they continue to discuss eat more vegetarian food, um, and fight food waste. It said eat buy 20, or I think it said um, buy 40% less items or food items, so you'll be wasting less food. I guess like in some countries, people buy things and then goes to waste. So that's very supposed to be very climate bad. You do not do that. So then it said avoid products containing palm oil, because for some reason they think that if you buy products with palm oil, it is it's not helping to save the rainforest. And by not buying products with palm oil, you're saving the forest. Um, then they were saying if you start shopping less, they said you don't have to buy things, just kind of buy less things. And by buying less, you're saving the planet. Buy things only naturally made, like wooden things and bamboo products. Try to avoid things that do not that you can't recycle, I guess, or will not. They will not be. You won't be able to um, put them in the ground and they just dissolve, or how. So basically, they're staying wood or bamboo products is better. Then shopping in a second place stores instead of buying brand new things. They want us to buy less new things and more used things. That's supposed to be better for the environment. And of course, recycling. Um, and by doing that, it said, well, if you do all of these things, you can save. You can actually you're doing this much. But if you want to save more, if you want to save 5 tons more per year, go to the site and pay $15 per month, and this way you can limit your carbon intake, which was very funny to me because it said offset your remaining footprint on the environment, and it just costs you $12 per month. Which means if you have money and you can pay money, which makes you um, less prone to, I guess, affect the climate. I'm not sure. Okay, so that was that. So it was, I found it very interesting, and I was like, yeah, sure. But it's called Climate Hero. If you want to Google it, you'll see the test, and this way you can just kind of do the test and see how much your carbon imprint. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is there's a site. It's called Sustainability Environment. So they're talking about how they can prevent by doing different things to save the carbon. They want to make sure by 2050 it's 0%. I can imagine that. How can that happen? How can it be zero by 2050 if cars produce carbon, animals produce carbon, um, trains, airplanes, all that, any kind of machine, it all produce carbon. So how can you limit it to zero by 2050? I'm not sure. I have to look into more into it. Also, they want to make sure they save water, and by 2030, I guess there's a limit on water. And by 2030, they want to limit the waste to 99.9%, which means everything that you use has to be recycled. Everything. There should be nothing on the waste, nothing to be wasteful. So how that will happen, I have no clue, but that's the new environment friendly issue that they're trying to push into people and trying to show people that people can do this. So another thing here is they did, I guess, some kind of study or some kind of testing, and they found out there's 5 countries that consume the most carbon, like they produce the most carbon, which is apparently bad for the environment and it's bad for the weather. It actually triggers all kinds of whichever. So they're stating China is number 1, USA is number 2, India is number 3, Russia is number 4, and Japan is number 5. And they do want to make sure all those countries kind of they like measure their carbon dioxide emission, and that's what it shows that those countries are the most. For instance, China produces about 10,000 million metric tons that they measured it in 2020, and they want to make sure it's mostly from burn coal, and because coal is rich in carbon, so they want to limit that to make sure that doesn't happen. While here in the States, it's mostly the transportation sector, which is trucks, ships, trains, and planes. And they hear it say that our consumers especially depend on their cars as the primary means of transportation, and this contributes to the carbon footprint, gasoline and diesel. So basically, they're pushing everybody here in the States to do more electric cars and to have less of a car issue and less transportation. That's what they're stating. Travel less and try to walk more, try to ride your bike more. This is how we're supposed to be saving the planet from big disasters. And then as I was doing the research, a lot of people were talking about eating less meat. Apparently, if you eat meat, that's very, very bad for the environment, and it's very expensive, and it uses up all our resources, and it's very bad for you. But I found a site which talks about their chicken, and they're stating that chicken is much better now than it was back in 1965. The chicken is limited to 75% fewer resources than before. And how did they manage to do that? They're just stating that they are now using 72% less farmland to produce chickens. So I'm sure all of you have seen that chickens are a little cooped up in little cages now. Also, they're using 58% less water, which is, I'm not sure, maybe they give them less water to drink. And also, they're using 39% less fossil fuels. And what's that has to be with anything, I'm not sure. But it just shows that they're stating that the chicken is much better to eat than the beef. At least this was back in, if I see this correctly, I believe this was a year ago. This article was a year ago. But nowadays they probably don't want you to even eat chicken. They want you to eat other sources of protein, which they actually are talking in this as well. They're stating that it's better to eat plant-based protein. It's better to eat other sources of protein. I'm sure you all have seen commercials about meatless things and things about eating bugs and eating cockroaches and other things. So, but at least now you know why that's the reason. Um, and then my next, so I was kind of, I'm sure all of you have heard that there's a 15-minute city in, it's the big thing now, and a lot of countries want to get it done. They're stating that um, if you do the 15-minute cities, it's best, because if you don't, then you won't be able to. Well, I guess it's more for sustaining the climate. It's better for the environment because you're driving less, you're walking more, everything is close to you. The 15-minute city is everything close. You do not have to go much. And it shows that they're stating it's better for the environment. And I'm not sure if you heard about China having 15-minute cities, but they do have that in some cities. And we, of course, hear a lot of stories that it's terrible because people they have a permit if you want to go places farther than 15-minute cities. But if you Google it, it says it's not true. They're stating it's not for your, they are not trying to limit you, they're trying to bring everything to you. That's what they're trying to do. So yeah, especially if I was reading about, where was that? It's called chapmantaylor.com, and he like really goes into detail and shows you everything, how it all was made in China, how they brought everything to a person, everything, a park, a store, everything, school, work, everything was in a little 15-minute city. And they're stating it's best for everyone since in case of for instance, if someone gets sick in your city, then the city is just quarantined instead of making it a big quarantine over the whole country. They just quarantine your little city, which is best for that city, right? But so that's one of the things they're stating possibly could happen. And they were showing that a lot of people are very happy about it. They have everything they need close by. They do not have to go far, and it's just very good resource. So I'm not sure if you are for the 15-minute city or against it, but like I said, if you Google it's they're stating it's not true that it limits you. It's actually brings everything to you. So that's what they say. And when you Google it, you see a lot of people stating that. So that kind of makes me wonder. But they all have the same answers. Um, and then also I was since I was looking into it, I was like, well, I heard that taking deep breaths are bad for you, right? And I actually found a study. It's called Resilience Institute, from Resilience Institute, and they're stating yes, taking deep breaths are very bad for you. It releases a lot of carbon, so don't do that. It's bad for you. And they're stating that it's actually bad advice, because when you take deep breaths, you can get there's things that it's instead of calming yourself, you're actually making yourself chest pain, lightheartedness. You can include anxiety, pounding heart rate. All those things can include if you take deep breaths. So instead, they're stating it's better to how are they call it, instead of doing that, you should do a tactical square breathing, which is 4 seconds exhale, 4 seconds hold, and 4 seconds inhale, and then 4 seconds hold. So basically, they want you to hold your breath when you're trying to breathe, because it's better for the environment and it's better for everybody involved and for your health, apparently, according to the study which was done in Resilience Institute about a year ago. So brand new. Um, let's see here. And then I saw a book. There was a book written by some lady, and in that book she was saying that the less people you produce or give birth to, the better you are at saving the planet, because the more people we have on this earth, the worse it is. So for instance, if you have one child, that's better than having two or three or four or five. That's really bad, according to this lady who has written a book, and she is recommending people not have a lot of kids because it's bad for the environment. So if we do kind of all follow all of these rules and start living in 15-minute cities and try and walk instead of driving, actually, you don't need a car. You can just walk, you can just take a bike. You will limit your intake of carbon intake, which is better for the environment, and you will save the planet, according to some people. But I'm just giving you information so you are aware what is happening, and so it's just basically very interesting to me how everything is coming out, and how little by little everything is being implemented for us. It's a very tiny, tiny steps that we're seeing. So when it comes all at once, you won't be surprised, and you won't be wondering why are we getting taxed for carbon intake or carbon footprint. So they're stating a lot of, like in Canada, they're already getting a carbon tax. I'm not sure if America has it yet. Possibly, if you know for sure, let me know if you're getting a tax for emitting carbon, or maybe only the businesses are having it. I'm not sure. But it's good to see and to know, because who knows, in the future you may be getting a carbon tax, especially when we are attached to some kind of device, and that will show them that you are emitting too much carbon, and possibly you need to be given medication, or possibly you need to be just kind of talk to, maybe increase your
Oh, I actually saw it on one website. They were talking about not giving you tax, but getting you it's like a warning. If you do this, you will get a bill. You will get a fine. A fine. That's the word I'm using. So I saw that on one website they were talking about people being fined when their carbon intake is high, and that includes eating beef, eating meat, eating different things. So yeah. So let me think. Let me know what you think in my comments. It's just interesting to know if you heard this already and if it's true. What's happening in Canada. So take care, my friends. Stay well and don't take deep breaths. Take what was it called? Um, the four, the tactical square breathing. Hold it for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds, and yeah, take care.